Good morning, good morning, good morning, good day. Hello, it's me with lights. That's how that works. I want to say hello to everybody, and I don't want to really beat around. Normally we listen to the song and let everything get started, but you know, I have an extra long one today. And I just want to let you know what we have in store. First, we have Simpson. Simpson is a mensch and a great officiator, and this case shows why all that is. I'm just going to let you watch the case. It's a fairly long case, but I think it's a fairly important case. It has made the rounds this week, But this is your opportunity to, if you've seen it, make your comments about it, and just, you know, enjoy the content. The middle case, I'm sure you guys know what that is. I'm not even going to go into that. That's Gauthier's Captain Remus. The last little frame over there is actually Judge Fleischer showing us a picture of a fish. And why we see that picture of that fish, we'll get to in Judge Fleischer's docket, which is about an hour away from right now. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I just want to go ahead and get started with it. We got a day full of really good cases, and we're going to start things off with Judge Simpson. I hope everybody gets settled in, get you some coffee, get you some crumpets, get your favorite refreshment. It's going to be a good day court watching. Join me in Judge Simpson's gallery for this case. I don't know what I'm doing.
Court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jeffrey Pence.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. On behalf of Mr. Pence, who appears in custody to my right. How are you, Judge?
I'm good.
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon, Your Honor, and staff. Thank you for allowing me to appear via Zoom. Jonathan Evans on behalf of the people in this matter.
All right. This matter originally came up as it was filed by the public defender initially, an emergency motion to release or change the bond. In this case, there was then, I don't know if Mr. Margolis filed one or not, but maybe not. But then a stipulation in order to amend bond came over. The court has not signed that. All of this relates to a conditional bond violation, which occurred on June 29th, I do believe at 8:35, or I'm sorry, 18:35, in the city of Ann Arbor regarding contact and other things. So I don't know who wants to begin in terms of the stipulation, because the court had some questions regarding the stipulation specifically. Are these townhouses, or how are the houses right next to each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that
single family homes?
got it? And fundamentally, I guess the court's thing, because while I received the stipulation, I don't have much documentation to go along with that, which I had initially requested, I think, of the public defender. And then when you came in, Ms. Margolis.
I apologize. I was not aware. I have a neuropsych report, and I also have letters from the VA as well as Michigan Medicine relative to his cognitive disorders.
I'm not in terms of Mr. Penn's cognitive state. That is not an issue for the court. More an issue for the court is making sure that he can be released safely, number one, and where I don't want to set him up for further, I guess, difficulties where something happens and then he's had enough of a problem being arrested, brought in. I don't want to see that happen again. And so it's not an issue of questioning necessarily anybody's commitment to what's contained here. It's more satisfying myself that there's enough in place to stop that from occurring, because I think that probably causes much more of a stressor on Mr. Pence than anything else when this type of circumstance occurs. Most of my questions, well, one of the primary questions, I'll just say, from the police report I referenced was whether or not there are firearms in the home. And I think that has been answered by the affidavit of his wife.
There's no firearms.
No firearms at all.
No firearms at all. All right.
Never had firearms.
Got it. Okay. The daily care, I won't say care, but there's references in here that he'll be supervised around the clock. And I guess I need to be clear on how that's going to occur and what pieces are in place to make sure that happens.
Understood. So our initial, first I'll let the court know that we being the family, they're on a wait list. He is on a wait list for Brecken Village Memory Care Center.
Got it.
He is also a veteran. He's a Vietnam veteran, and I bring that up because he has resources through the VA. If we are able to obtain his release, the first person we're going to go see is we're going to take him right to the VA hospital. Is that correct?
That is correct.
VA hospital emergency to have him checked to see if he needs to be admitted. He has an appointment with his primary. He had one yesterday, but that was
Is
reset.
this Miss Sanchez Pence?
Yes.
Ma'am, I didn't mean to be you can come up to the podium.
Please.
You're
Sorry
the one.
about
You're the one that.
It's more important to hear from.
Yeah. And can you state your name, please, ma'am?
My legal name is Juana Sanchez Pence.
All right. All right.
We also, so while we wait to hear, and she can let us know what the time frame is for Brecken Village. But we also have we have time respite care with the VA that's been approved for a certain number of hours per week. That I believe is going to be increased based upon our conversations with the VA.
When you're saying respite care, you mean around the clock in-home care?
Not necessarily from the VA. I wanted to be clear. I want to not give the court any false representations. We also have, because it's not 24-hour care from the VA respite people, we also have enlisted social workers as well as certain private caretakers.
Okay. Social workers are from?
Please stand.
Yeah.
This is Miss Lutz, Melanie Lutz.
Hello.
So I'm a retired social worker with a current license. I'm a longtime friend of James.
Got it.
And I've been helping.
All right. Ma'am, you were saying?
I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
It's okay. It's all right.
About the people you had in place to assist you if you needed to go to the store, and
Yes.
the steps you're taking to make sure he's 24/7 supervised in arm's reach, so to speak.
Right.
Okay. So, and I guess I was getting to the point, because I couldn't remember my question either. I was getting to the point of this involving a neighbor. And that, and I don't know if you're aware of this. Part of the reason I was concerned about a firearm is because allegedly there was a threat that he was going to get a gun and shoot.
Who?
That Mr. Pence was. Okay. I tell you that because I'm not asking these questions, or my concern doesn't sort of just come out of a vacuum.
I was not aware of that. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so that's one of the reasons, for example, given his circumstances, I've been kind of deliberate in trying to act because I didn't know if there were firearms. I don't, and I'm trying to place where the houses are to each other, both for the safety of the neighbor, but also for the safety of Mr. Pence, because I didn't want a circumstance where he's there, somehow is unsupervised, then the neighbor comes over, figures nobody's doing anything, and does something to him. So just so that you know, I'm sorry, ma'am, I did not know that you weren't aware that that had been said and represented. And that's one of the reasons why it's kind of where it is now. Okay. You also may not have been aware, maybe again you were or not, that I guess he was over banging on the windows of the neighbors.
I was
Okay. I'm sorry that you're finding out this way. He was over banging on the windows, screaming at the neighbors. The neighbors, as I am gathering from the report, were screaming back. Mr. Pence allegedly responds that he's gonna, I think, end up shooting them up or something along those lines. Okay. And that's how we got there. Once, to be honest with you, for me, once initially upon reading that, I was very concerned. Once upon getting sort of preliminary information regarding Mr. Penn's conditions, both from the jail and from the public defender's office, my view of everything kind of changed. But I wanted to make sure that I was taking the proper steps and the proper things that were in place for the reasons I told you before, for his safety as well as the neighbor's safety. Let me ask you this, Ms. Pence. Is the neighbor aware of Mr. Penn's circumstances, or?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I would continuously apologize when I heard my husband yelling at him due to noise. He's extremely sensitive to noise.
To noise.
My husband
Okay.
is.
Got
And
it.
he would yell at him, "Where you have that so noisy?" And he knows. All my neighbors know. All my nearby neighbors know. And so he knows, and I would apologize. I'm sorry. You know, his situation. He's the noise upsets him, and this is what he does. And I would apologize to the neighbor continuously.
And some of them, I'm sure, as our world, are more accepting than others, right? Okay. All right. So, you said he was on a waiting list.
We are on a waiting list to move. We have to move. We're on a waiting list to move
You're gonna,
out of our home. We have no choice. Unfortunately, we have no choice. So we're moving, but we're on a waiting list. And so in the meantime, he's not going to go in that driveway.
and let me ask you this. You have no choice because of what?
Because I don't want him to get into another altercation. I just don't want him to get into another altercation with a neighbor. And that's the reason. Every old person wants to age in their home, but that's not going to happen. I have to move him because I don't want him to get into trouble again for something that he does due to his illness. And that's what we're going to do. I just don't want anything close for him to come here again.
Perhaps the court is wondering if there is supervised care with 24-hour. Are you confident that there won't be any
I am
trouble?
confident right now there won't be. Yes.
And you want to get help with his care. And that's why you've contacted people. That's why Ms. Lutz is willing. You'll have support.
You know, how long have you been in your home?
I'm
How
sorry.
long have you and him been in your home?
Oh my goodness. Let me think back here. 87, 86, mid 80s, maybe 87, 85. Oh, 85. He retained numbers. I don't.
Good memory, sir.
Amazing.
Good
Oh
memory.
my goodness.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
How long have the two of you been married?
I'm sorry.
How long have the two of you been married?
We were together for 7 years and we got legally married in 1988.
So a while.
A while, yes. We've had ups and downs.
As with all marriages, right? Okay. If we were to plot out a day, how do you see the care working for him? I mean, you'll be there most of the time, right? Is that the idea?
I will be there when there's caregivers as well, but I
Right.
will be there, especially when there's no caregivers. I have will line up caregivers for certain days, and that allows me to run the errands that I need to, but I will be there all the time.
Walk the judge through a particular regular day.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. And sometimes my questions, maybe in this stuff, aren't coming out clear. In a day, who do you anticipate being there? I mean,
Right now, I have assistance from the VA, and there's someone who comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 5.5 hours a day.
gotcha. On
And
2 days a week,
She comes there 2 days a week, and it'll be I hope to divide it into 3 days, 14 hours right now from the VA, and that will increase eventually. Talking to some people. And then I've got my girlfriend who's flexible. She's retired. She's a clinical social worker, so she's flexible. And I had an interview with another woman today from Divine Grace and Tender Care Home Care, and they will assist me as well. So I'll put a schedule on the days that Dawn, our caregiver, will not be there, so that this other caregiver can be there on 5-7 hours a day, and I'll be there on the afternoons, sort of like in the middle of the day. He gets up late, goes to sleep. He sleeps a lot, so I will be there during those hours, and I'll put the schedule together so that when he has the waking hours, the caregivers are there.
Got it. Okay. And Mr. Margolis, you mentioned that he was going to go to the VA and he may be hospitalized. Is that?
So my understanding, and Mrs. Pence can bring this out further, but my understanding is that I talked to the VA today actually, and they said, well, just take him right to the ER and they will check him out. And if they don't believe he's, quote, fit to go home, they are going to hold him, is my understanding. Is that yours?
Okay, so let me.
Yeah.
Fit in which way? So
Vitals are okay.
right. So physically, they would keep him if he's not able to go home.
Is my understanding.
But mentally and cognitively, what's their posture on that? If he's not fine in that respect with them, are they going to keep him or?
Your Honor, I don't know if my husband has been taking his medications. He takes medications that help with the agitation.
Got it.
As part of treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's. He takes medication for seizures. He takes medication because he had a heart attack. He takes medication for the agitation. So he takes quite a bit of medication, and I don't know if he's been taking the medication. And I was told by the doctor, just go ahead and take him to the ER, have him checked out real quickly, and see, I can take him home and start him on his medication regimen again.
Got it. Okay. Let me. Just trying to think of a way to put this without you looking like a bad guy or me looking like, I mean, I don't, but I just need to know this information. If he goes home and he's at home, this one neighbor, what What's your best guess as to their response? And here's the reason I'm asking. I'm not trying to say anybody's a bad person for that. What I don't want is I'm also trying to figure out, and I don't want to see happen, or at least have an understanding. I don't want him provoked to where he then responds. Did that make any sense?
I totally understand. The area where my husband can see the neighbor is only in the driveway area. We're going to stay away from the driveway area. In the backyard, there's a tall fence. They cannot see us. We cannot see them. He lives with his girlfriend.
Okay, so you have a privacy fence in the back?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wooden privacy fence?
Yes.
Got it.
And so the only area that is open and exposed is the driveway. That's the only area that's exposed.
And not to speak for Mr. Emmons, Your Honor, but I believe that Mr. Emmons did contact me, and that's why the driveway is actually part of that proposed, or the stip in the proposed order, because Mr. Emmons, and I'll let him speak, spoke to the neighbor, and that's what he said to me, is we need to keep him off the driveway as best we can. Is that right, Mr. Emmons?
That's correct, Mr. Margolis. I did have an opportunity to speak to the neighbor and the victim of both of these matters in anticipation of the stipulation. And I kind of tried to assess him out and where he's at, and with the understanding of what we could do to try and facilitate him coming back home until such a time that he could go to Brecken, whatever the facility is. And he said that the driveway seems to be the biggest thing. He was like, can you just keep him in the home? And I said, well, there might be, obviously he's going to have to leave the home for appointments and stuff, and he goes, the driveway seems to be like the biggest catalyst. That seems to be the thing where the issues tend to arise the most often. And he said, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of forgetting. He said, I was like, well, what if you wanted to go for a walk with a caregiver or something? Just kind of thinking, I guess if you were to go out the front door and go, I can't remember if it was left or right. But there was one way that he could go, and he would not have any contact, would not have to cross in front of the neighbor's house. So as long as he stayed, that direction, and stayed out of the driveway, he didn't foresee that there would be any problems. I mean, obviously, I think the complainant in this matter is going to be concerned no matter what, but I talked to him about that, and I wanted to make sure that he was, understanding and as comfortable as he could be. And I think this is what he's the one that said, the driveway needs to be addressed.
But I've got some problems with that. And that is, and these are separate driveways. So it's not like it's a shared driveway. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, and Mr. Emmons, maybe you can clarify it for me. Is it, I mean, if I release Mr. Pence, what I'm concerned about is I'm not looking to restrict his use of his property, because oh boy,
She had a comment.
you're right, go, because see, I'll try not to say what I'm really thinking, but what I'm really thinking is this. There are people that have difficulties on our planet and in our society. It doesn't mean that we get to just hide them, and if we don't see them, then feel better. We just don't get to do that. I mean,
I don't disagree with the court at all.
and you know what? And I know you're not down here, Mr. Emmons, but I'm just going to say this also. I see Miss Sanchez Pens up here, and as she walked up, I'm looking at the two of them look at each other. She it seems to me, and this is a feeling, I might be wrong, she just loves him more than life itself and is willing to do anything. But I'm not going to place her in a position because I know she, just based upon the conversation, feels that she should be the one responsible for it. And I get that. But Mr. Pence, if he wants to walk on his driveway and say nothing to anybody, why can't he say that? Why can't he do that? Yes.
Your Honor, when I've heard my husband, I'm inside doing my things inside the house, and I hear a loud voice right next door. I see my husband, he may be yelling from the side of our driveway because the noise is loud. I quickly go downstairs and I get my husband, stop that. And he listens to me. Several times he listens to me. He goes to the backyard, we go inside. I get his agitation down. So that's not a problem. Now, I'm not going to allow him to be in the driveway by himself.
Okay.
I will be with him.
Okay, I get that. Well, but this, the way I read this stipulation, maybe that's my problem, is that he, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I read this stipulation is Mr. and Mrs. Pence can't be in the driveway at all.
So that was an added part after I spoke with Mr. Emmons. And it said they can transport as long as they can go to and from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually have it right.
So here's my problem with that. My problem with that is, how long was he in the service?
Sweetheart, how long were you in the Army?
How long?
He said 15 or 16 years. No,
Wasn't quite
no,
that.
no.
Okay.
You were in Vietnam, yes? George, you did one or two?
It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
He's a vet. It's okay. He's a veteran. My point to all of that is,
Your Honor,
I am not going to stop somebody that fought for this country from being able to walk up and down his driveway with his wife. I asked that order is not happening. Now, if I have to place an order that he can't yell at the neighbor, that he can't do this, then fine, that's fine. But I mean, right now I'm mad that they're going to have to move out of their home. I mean, I get it, and I get people have to make their life's decisions, but you're making the decision because others can't seem to understand him. And the very fact that they have the right to file the complaint is because of people like him that went and preserved your right to be able to do it. At some point, maybe I'll step off my soapbox, but I'm just. All right. So somehow or another, this order needs to be refashioned because I'm not prohibiting him from going down the driveway. If what he thinks, and whether it be right, wrong, or indifferent, that he wants to take, let's say it's just a romantic stroll holding hands with his wife down the driveway, well, darn it, he's going to be able to do it.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a garage, so the garage is narrow. So we actually I pull the car out and then he goes in. So he needs to use the driveway temporarily.
Ma'am, here's my point. All right. I hear you. I mean, you're going to do everything that you possibly can so this doesn't happen again. And I get that. But I'm not going to place you in a position where you're sitting there worried that if you're not exiting right at that moment, somebody decides, that's not going to happen. if he goes out and sits on a lawn chair in the middle of the driveway and does nothing, who, I don't care if anybody doesn't want to see him. If he's not doing anything to anybody, it doesn't matter to me. You follow me? I just have a very different approach to that. And I don't want to see you or the people that you would have come in trying to care for him in that position, that if he wants to go out for a driveway and all of a sudden he decides he's not going to listen and he's just walking down his own driveway, that's not going to be a bond violation. It's not going to happen. Now, I don't know, Mr. Emmons, are you going to feel comfortable? I mean, quite frankly, I can just order it, so it doesn't really matter, but I'd rather it be a circumstance where the neighbor could understand that I'm not ordering that. I will order him to stay off of his driveway,
Of course.
but I'm not ordering him to stay off his own driveway.
Your
I
Honor.
think that the issue that we were trying to address, Your Honor, is that it seems that if the defendant becomes aware of the presence of the complainant, it almost acts as if some kind of an irresistible impulse. I can't say that I know Mr. Pence or Mr. Latotsky, the complainant in this matter. I don't know their entire situation. I happen to be the one that got the police report for the newest incident while I was on duty for the 4th of July. And so I'm the one that charged it. That brings me here. In speaking with Mr. Latotsky, that's the situation.
So is there another case?
There's a case out of there's a misdemeanor case for the door window that happened on the 29th of June.
In Ann Arbor.
Yes.
Same
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's what the idea of the driveway was, is to try and prevent that, I'm just using the terminology, but that kind of irresistible impulse, so that, the victim doesn't feel like he needs to be confined to his home and there's not some kind of, issue that's going to arise. It's kind of to try and put a plug in that.
And that's why I think, Mr. Emmons, we put that provision about not being unaccompanied on the driveway in the end of the stip.
Right. It says, defendant shall not be unaccompanied on the driveway at any time. I understood that there was going to be, that he would need to be, leave by way of the driveway. Like I definitely understood that. And
Well, hold it. I see the end, but it says it is further agreed and stipulated, defendant shall not make use of the driveway unless entering the garage to enter or exit the home. And then there's the provision about he should not be accompanied on the driveway at any time. And then is very specific that defendant may use driveway to enter and exit his garage for transport, but not be permitted to sweep it or otherwise remain on driveway.
So that's after I spoke with Mr. Emmons, as well as,
I get it.
just
I get it.
trying to
but
make people
I'm not signing that.
I think if the order
I'm
included
not,
that he's,
hold on.
sorry.
I am not signing that.
Yeah.
So because I'm not going to restrict him in that way. I am not going to say he can't go out on his driveway. I'm not going to say that he can't sweep his driveway. If you want me to tell him he can't yell at the neighbors, I'll tell him he can't yell at the neighbors. But I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Well, I'm fine if Your Honor wants to just make a verbal order that I can.
But see, here's the thing. The problem that I have is I don't know Miss Pent, but I'll tell you, just in listening to her, she's going to do everything in her power to make sure what happens is the right thing. I just don't have a doubt. But she can't be, I know she can't be everywhere all the time. She's gonna do it, give it her best shot. No doubt about it. But she can't be everywhere. And I just don't want a circumstance that if she slips up, but at the same time, if he's out there and is doing nothing, why is that a violation? It shouldn't be a violation. It just shouldn't be.
I don't
And
disagree.
so that part, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not signing that part. I mean, I don't have a doubt in my mind that Ms. Pence, after talking with her, is going to, if he needs to be transported, she will get him out in the most efficient fashion, get him in and out. If she wants to take a walk with him and they want to go for a walk someplace down the driveway, that she's going to do it in that way. I'll put my trust in her before I put my trust in an order that says this. So
Understood.
I'm not signing that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, folks, let's do it this way. Okay, let me just ask this, because I just want to make sure as to where we're headed down. This case, because it's a felony, is before me, right?
Right.
The other case, it being the Ann Arbor case, is before, do you know who?
I thought it was Judge Valvo. John, do you know if Mr. Emmons, you know that's in front of?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's even been assigned yet.
Okay. You have the ROA from the other?
I can print it. Yeah.
Can you? So I guess I'll ask you, Mr. Emmons, is it the people's position that the court ought to be holding a hearing? Hang on. It was. Okay, so they gave him a bond on that one.
Yes.
And $100 bond that reverts to
That's
PR.
PR if he's done this one. Got it. Surrender. No further. Criminal law. So Mr. Evans, is it the people's position, because that's gonna go on how I proceed, that I should be at least, or that his conduct in what is now I guess, the misdemeanor case, is there going to be a hearing on it being a violation of his bond in this case?
I don't think that that's necessary. I think we're kind of doing that right now. But I don't think that that's necessary. I know that he's pending competency right now in September. I think that's when his next, in front of you, I think his next hearing date is September.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm aware, like the idea of the whole doing the stipulation was I've got an older gentleman who has some mental health issues, and I have a very loving and caring wife doing her absolute best to try and care for that individual, and yet, you know, the situation as it was seemed to break down because, as your honor noted, she can't be everywhere all at once doing all of the things, and so this incident happened and he ended up getting arrested again for it. So I'm trying to find a way where I can, I mean, I think decidedly, like, we all understand that jail is probably not doing Mr. Pence a whole lot of good right now. But I also have to be mindful of the situation as it presents itself with the victim, you know, and I want to try and make sure that Mr. Pence can be released into an environment that's going to be suitable for him, where he can be cared for. And when I talked to Mr. Margolis, when he reached out to me, I said, you know, ideally the you know, a unit would be helpful, probably for him and his wife. I you know, I've never intended for them to move out of their home. That's not my intention at all. You know, or I need a team of people that can look after him. And so we started getting into the minutia of how this could potentially work. And then this driveway thing kind of became an issue. And I said, hey, is this something that we think we can work on? And we both said, okay, yeah, we can work with this. You know, this is what it's going to take to try and make everybody comfortable.
You know what? Though I'm not going to isolate him.
No, I understand where
I'm just not. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, like I said, the driveway thing is out. I get everything else that's being said. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sign this step, but I'll need an order, gentlemen, that
they retained Larry, so Larry reached out to me.
I don't mind any part of the order except really what is the last paragraph.
It was added at the 11th hour, Judge.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to blame.
let's go back to hour 10 and take it out.
Okay.
Not doing it. And then the only other part, since we don't have a hearing until September, is I want once, ma'am, you get sort of your schedule set as to how you're going to do it, because I'm sure it's probably a mix for you right now and you're just trying to sort it out. But I'd like that resolved in the next 7 to 10 days. Let's put 10 days. And then I want to see what the anticipated schedule is so that the court has a copy of what is supposed to be happening at any given period of time.
Is that agreeable?
Yes, sir.
Will that work for you?
That'll work.
Okay.
Do you want that in the proposed stip and order?
I want at least that it will be provided to the court,
Okay.
what that scheduling will be within, just give it 10 days. Because he's
Okay.
going to need to get to the VA and she's going to be trying to sort everything in the world out at this point, as well as trying to deal with him. Okay. You think you can do that? Will that be enough time for you?
It should be.
Okay.
I actually had an appointment this morning, but for another caregiver. But so it's happening.
Okay. All right. And that's going to take some time, because the reality is you've got your friend, but she's your friend.
Right.
Bringing a stranger in, I got to make sure I get it. Okay. Okay. So we'll deal with that way. And then just, you had a PR what before? 5,000. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce his bond after hearing to $5,000 personal recognizance bond. So I'm going to release them to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release him on a PR. I'm going to indicate that he's to be released to his wife. All right, only. Okay, so you're the only one that can come get him. You would be anyway, but you're the only one that can come get him. Just make sure you have ID with you. All right. With the conditions that I've stated on the record, which I'm approving the part of the stipulation other than the last paragraph regarding the driveway. So with all of those other conditions, with the added provision that within 10 days, that defendant will provide the schedule of care
Caregivers.
for him
To the court.
to the court, so that I have that, so that we're looking at. Okay. I don't. Okay. You know what? If she wants to look over at her husband, I'll wait.
Oh, no, I was just.
No, I know what you were doing. She. All right. Is there anything else? Thank you. Go ahead.
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
I completely understand that the court's not ordering the driveway provision. I totally understand that, and I'm obviously the court's gonna order that. And just so I know, just so that we can just be, we know that this is, and I think the wife has understood that this can be an area of concern for Mr. Pence. So just be mindful, right? So that all the caregivers know that this is kind of a problematic area. I obviously want the best for his wife, but I don't want there to be any further issues. And I think this is kind of just a good way if we're all just kind of mindful about it. And I'm not asking for any conditions. I'm just trying to reiterate for the let's just be mindful of the situation.
I think everybody's got it. I do. I appreciate that, I guess, Mr. Emmons. Everybody has it. It's just,
We got it, Your Honor.
sometimes people just need to be a little bit more compassionate. And sometimes if somebody's screaming at you, sometimes you just do nothing. And you just let them yell. I have to do that every day, sometimes with attorneys. And they just yell. You let them get it all out and move on. Sometimes, we can think that Mr. Pence, because he's where he is now, doesn't have or feel emotion. He does. They come out maybe where people don't get it. Maybe people just need to get it. All right. So that's how it's going to be. I don't know whether or not they're also that if a circumstance arises, I would rather have a provision. I'll include this. I can't guarantee that it will. That if there's a provision, or that if there is a violation or alleged violation of the bond conditions, that the defendant would then be, the defendant must remain then indoors pending a hearing with the court. And to use all efforts not to take him into custody. All right, that's what I want. So I don't know that will work, because the police, if they arrive, they're going to have to do what they got to do. but maybe if somehow or another that's in the order, and can't put that in.
Your Honor, I can suggest that I will talk to the officer in charge of this matter, and it's kind of his jurisdiction, and kind of say like,
Okay.
maybe we can look at other alternatives. Maybe if he needs to be hospitalized or taken to the ER or to psych ER or something like that, some kind of whatever before.
Right. I mean, if that's right, if that's the circumstance where they assess and he may need to be taken to psych ER, then do that. But what I don't want to see happen, if we can avoid it, is I don't want, if he's out there screaming and somehow or another lashes out but doesn't hurt someone, that he's not arrested. Because this has been a miserable circumstance for everybody, including Mr. Pence. Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if I hear he's getting agitated, I can calm him down.
I know.
So it's only been when I haven't been there that it's escalated.
And we are also contacting Washtenaw County Community Mental Health Emergency Services, because there is a 24-hour number they
Right.
have.
And so, ma'am, understand when I'm saying what I'm saying, I'm not doubting you. Sometimes what I have to prepare for, if everything falls through the cracks, what will happen? And when I look at this circumstance, the worst thing in the world that has happened, and that is that he got taken to jail. And then everybody's trying to figure out how to get him out safely and get everybody out safely. And council knows me, and if something happens and we got to get a hearing, I'd rather him be locked in the house, brought here, and we'll do it a lot quicker than we were able to do this. Brought here, have a hearing, let's figure out what happened, let's figure out what hole we may not have thought of, what we got to patch. That's what I'm saying. Nothing I have said, and please understand this, nothing that I have said in any way is to say that you can't do what you do with him. Because I believe it. In all honesty, I'm putting that in. I want that put in, but I don't think we're going to have a problem.
I don't either, Judge, and she didn't. I think she was thinking she could do it all herself, and I think she now knows that she can't. Is that correct?
That is correct. Actually, I waited too long to get caregivers. And in hindsight, I need more help than I realize.
Really? You waited too long.
I think so.
I hope you're not feeling guilty about that.
You bet I am.
You shouldn't be. So, and I'm going to.
Your Honor, for a long time, I was taking him for grocery shopping, my dentist appointment. When I wanted to go work out, he would go with me. I would take him with me. He would go. If he didn't want to go, I need to take a nap. Okay, after he took a nap, we'd go. So he would go with me. I left him alone a couple of times, and this is what happened. The last one where he violated bond was, it was a humid day. I didn't think he would be outside. And I was a quick trip. I didn't think to take him. And this is what happened. It was almost only gone for a few minutes. So yes, I realize now I can't leave him alone. I understand that.
My question to you, or my statement to you, is whether or not you feel guilty about waiting. And you said, yes, you do, but I'm going to tell you what, you don't. Because anybody that doesn't see this for what it is, you're a wife trying to take care of your husband and using everything you had to do that, because these other people around, they didn't make that commitment. You made that commitment. You did everything you could. And maybe the best I could do fell just a little bit short. But that doesn't mean I should feel guilty about it.
I agree.
You know, I don't know that I've ever said this before, but I'll tell you that a lot of people, as they get up in age, he's lucky. Mr. Pence is a very fortunate man. And he's fortunate because of you.
Not so much when you have cognitive impairment.
Fortunate. He knows it. That's why when you say he listens to you, that's why. We're going to get, well, I've got this case. We'll get through this, man. Okay? And we'll do our best just to try not to make the punitive side of our criminal justice system. It doesn't need to be. That's not what this is about, as far as I'm concerned in this case. This is about just trying to get to something that's right for everybody, but certainly right for Mr. Pence, and see what we can do. Okay? Maybe, not that I'm interfering in any other case, but maybe if people want to let them pay for the window and the other thing, they can let that part of the criminal case go. I don't know what punishing with another case does, but I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud, but I feel it.
It's your courtroom, Your Honor.
Absolutely. What I want to say. All right.
I'll have a revised order to you by the, within 30 minutes of my getting to the office.
All right. Anything else from the people?
No, Your Honor. If I may take my leave, I got to get to that bench trial.
All right. Take care.
Good luck, John. Thanks.
This is set for the original bond violation hearing on Thursday this week. Does that need to happen?
I can get.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, we're going to
And he
stipulate,
said we were kind of doing that now.
we're going to adjourn the PCC, the bond, or all that.
So it's a bond violation and he doesn't have a PCC.
He has an exam.
Correct. He has a competency in September,
September?
but when he was reviewed by the magistrate, bond violation, it was set on the 11th. Just for the bond violation.
Oh, okay. When's his competency?
Not till September, end of September.
26 or something.
Emily's looking it up now.
September 20th.
19.
Oh, it's 19.
We're in here on different days. All right, tell you what. I'll just solve the problem for you. Kick the bond violation hearing until September 19th.
Perfect. Perfect.
Anything else?
Not from us, Your Honor. Thank you.
Where teenage stands adjourned.
Always a pleasure.
Well, that was a thing. Hey, hello, Blue. Everybody say hello to Blue. Yeah, that was a really sad case, and the Kleenex are available at the front desk for everyone. But we're moving galleries for just a moment, and we're now going to go to Sheboygan, Michigan, with Judge Gauthier. I really enjoyed this case. I hope you enjoy this case too. This is a little bit of subsidiary. Everybody loves subsidiary, don't they, Blue? Everybody loves subsidiary. Oh, yeah. Everybody loves subsidiary. Here we go. Oh, gosh.
Thank you.
Questions until you establish that this is a court of the Constitution, has jurisdiction under these jurisdictions.
I established it. I told you. You might think I'm wrong and you can appeal.
There's no such thing as a statutory jurisdiction.
Mr. McLeod, let me make this simple for you. Do you ever watch, let me make this simple for you.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you this question one more time. One more time. Okay. Two things are going to happen. You are either going to answer my question or I'm going to hold you summarily in contempt. And the court officer will bring you to a jail cell and we'll talk about it tomorrow. You understand that?
So,
Mr. McLeod, two things are going to happen. You're going to answer my question, or you're going to jail for summary contempt for not complying with the court's request. Do you, Mr. McLeod, understand that the maximum penalty for the charge against you is 3 years in prison and or $1,000 fine?
I don't understand the charges.
Mr. McLeod is in contempt of court, taken into custody.
Really? That's it. Protecting my rights or something. Sorry. You guys are
Follow unconstitutional orders.
Following law orders, not constitutional at all.
Mr. McLeod's in contempt, he's sentenced to 1 day. Mr. McLeod, your sentence is 1 day in jail. We'll reconvene tomorrow and get you
This is
notice.
unconstitutional. I did nothing wrong except for question and exercise my rights.
Right, to accept your argument means that they just don't get to just, that tribal members could just go around and they don't even get to get stopped when the police don't even know who they are.
Well, I think this is because they're supposed to be trained to ask if we're tribal or not.
Well,
And in fact, in the consent decree, for them to even be qualified to handle or deal with tribal members, they're supposed to have cultural sensitivity training. And I can tell you right now that I've called my tribe and they're not on any list that's supposed to, that has had that training. So they're not even qualified to approach or ticket or do anything with tribal members until they complete that training, and they've never done it. So.
Well, the testimony was that the officer immediately upon initial contact did detect indications of impairment, and then
right, but I also proved that he perjured himself, which means his testimony is junk.
so based upon his testimony, the stop was good, the investigation was good, and the motion for reconsideration is denied. So what that does, sir, I don't even know who you are, but you gotta stop interrupting the process, correct?
I'm sorry.
Okay, you can observe, but you can't participate. You understand there's a difference there. All right, so Mr. McLeod, then you previously stated that it was your intention to file an application to appeal the Court of Appeals, or are you still seeking?
Well, currently what's going on is I'm filing a criminal complaint against these officers and probably a civil complaint. So I'm gonna make a move to stay in court, motion to stay in court for a bit while I get these complaints going and get them to the right authorities.
Well, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, it's one thing, you know, sometimes when people are appealing a ruling, that's different, but you're saying you want to pursue criminal or civil remedies against the officers. I don't even know what those would be. But I'm not gonna stay in this case for that.
Well, I've also got 5 more motions that I've already written and I'm returning to, so I need some time to sort this out.
Well, when are you gonna file those?
I'll file one today, you know.
Well, here's the deal, like you should file all the motions you want me to hear, and then I can hear them. And then if they resolve the case, great. If they don't, then we'll set it for a jury trial. What we shouldn't ought to do is just kind of trickle them out, so this case lasts, 2 years or something. All right, good morning. We're on the record in the 53rd Circuit Court for the County of Sheboygan, and we are providing public access both in the courtroom and also online. Our first case this morning on this morning's docket is People versus Trevor McLeod, file 23-6748FH. Counsel, you want to state your appearances, please?
Anthony Joy on behalf of People.
And Mr. Wirgo, you want to come on up? You've been appointed as standby counsel in this case.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm not familiar with the standby counsel process, and I just found out about this morning.
Well, all right, that's not my issue. We appointed the Office of Assigned Counsel. May 28th. According to this court's own motion, the Sheboygan Office of Assigned Counsel is hereby appointed to act as standby/advisory counsel for defendant and shall appear at all hearings scheduled in this case, including the docket call on July 9th at 9:30 a.m. and the jury selection and trial August 8th and 9th. And the clerk's office would provide notice to standby counsel as well. Notice has been provided. We confirmed with your office that you were the one. All right, Mr. McLeod does not appear to be present in the courtroom. Is he in the hallway? He's not in Zoom either. He's not appeared. Have you had any contact with Mr. Trevor McLeod?
To my knowledge, the entire office is not here.
All right, well, Mr. McLeod has been representing himself. I did appoint standby counsel at the last hearing. Standby counsel is present. But since the last hearing, Mr. McLeod has refused to accept mail from the court. We sent a mailing to him with copies of the orders that I entered at the last hearing. It was sent back to us with a red marker stating return to sender and offer to contract is denied. So sadly, Mr. McLeod seems to be retreating back into nonsensical sovereign citizen defenses. And he filed a document, or there's a document purported to have been signed by him entitled Letter Rogatory for Relief, that is legal nonsense that somehow accuses the court of somehow generating funds from the case using defendant as some security mechanism, which makes no sense at all. This is not the first problems we've had with Mr. McLeod, and now he's choosing to refuse service from the court and refusing to attend here today. We have a jury trial scheduled August 8th and 9th. Mr. Juliet, any requests from the people?
This is his first failure to appear, to my knowledge, but I wasn't aware that he was deliberately refusing correspondence from the court. So based on that, I would ask for a bench warrant.
All right, Mr. Virgo, any input from standby counsel?
Yes,
You don't represent him, but you're here to stand by and give him, you're here to give him advice if he is here, if he wants advice, and to stand by to represent him if he's not able to represent himself, and him not being absent, I guess, if you want to say anything on his behalf.
Yes, Your Honor. Being that it is his first non-appearance, and it appears that he is maybe under the impression that there are some legal mechanisms at play that aren't, I would ask that instead of a bench warrant, the court issue a show cause and allow our office an opportunity to try and work with him.
Well, he's not only not here today, he's refusing to accept anything that we're sending him. He's repeatedly demonstrated contempt for this court's authority and process. I'll issue a bench warrant for his failing to appear with no bond. Do we leave the trial date on for now, Mr. Juliet?
Yes.
Okay. Normally, I would cancel the trial date. I'm going to give Mr. McLeod the courtesy of not canceling that trial date because I don't want him to be sitting in jail for a super long time on this case. But I guess my staff will monitor that. If he's not in custody soon, we'll be canceling that date and using it for other cases. All right. Be in recess till 10 a.m. then.
Mr. Wergo?
No, it's Mr. Varga for arraignment purposes. All right, we are on the record in the 53rd Circuit Court for the County of Sheboygan, and we are providing public access both in the courtroom and also online, and we're here to arraign on a bench warrant, Mr. Trevor Kenneth McLeod. It's file 23-6748FH. Counsel, please state your appearances.
For the record, oh, I'm sorry.
Anthony Julian on behalf of people.
For the record, Ronald Varga, mine with Mr. McLeod in these matters. Mr. McLeod, when I did meet with him, indicated he wanted to handle this hearing himself.
All right. Well, Mr. McLeod, it's alleged that you are in contempt of court for failing to appear on July 9th at 9:30 a.m. for a 53rd Circuit Court hearing. You've got the right to a hearing on that allegation where it would need to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and the right to the assistance of an attorney at that hearing. If you are found to be in violation, if you are found to be in contempt, I could jail you for up to 93 days. I could fine you for up to $7,500 or both. I can also revoke your bond if you're not complying with the terms of your release. Do you understand the rights and penalties that you have in front of you, Mr. McLeod?
Sure. I was under the impression that this was all going to be over with by now. That we're
Nope.
in
Nope.
agreement.
All right, Mr. McLeod, and also, so you know the rights and penalties that I outlined for you. You understand those?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Varga, do you know how he wishes to proceed?
No, he indicated he would enter his own plea.
Mr. McLeod, you're indicating you want to represent yourself?
Well, I thought that can I say a couple things first?
No.
Okay,
You can answer my questions.
sure.
Are you saying you want to represent yourself?
They have been doing that the whole time.
You've been doing that the whole time. Under Ferretta v. California, 1975 U.S. Supreme Court, defendant has the constitutional right to represent himself. He has, in this case, unequivocally asserted that right in prior hearings and validly waived his right to counsel. However, self-representation may be denied where the defendant disrupts, unduly inconveniences, or burdens the court and the administration of the court's business. That's 1976, Michigan Supreme Court, People v. Anderson. Even the Ferretta case, the U.S. Supreme Court said the right of self-representation is not a license to abuse the dignity of the courtroom. Neither is it a license not to comply with the relevant rules of procedural and substantive law. Here, while representing himself, defendant refused to accept mail from the clerk's office. When that happened, I directed staff to resend the mailing directly from the court, giving him the benefit of the doubt. Because he was representing himself, he would surely accept something from the court. He again refused, writing in red lettering on the envelope, return to sender, and offer to contract is denied. Defendant had someone file a document on his behalf in his case called a letter rogatory for relief, which was legal nonsense, accusing the court of fraudulently using this case as some sort of security against his trust, claiming that all judges are foreign agents and or employees of the International Monetary Fund, which is absolutely absurd, and demanding that he be placed on some non-existent do not detain list. This is not the first time that this defendant has disrupted this court's business. One time I had to hold Mr. McLeod in contempt for refusing to answer my questions during his initial waiver of counsel. After that contempt, we were able to complete the waiver process and I allowed him to represent himself. But at those subsequent hearings, he repeatedly interrupted the proceedings. He repeatedly persisted in arguments, even after being heard and ruled against. And now he has refused to participate in the court process by rejecting court mailings while purporting to represent himself. So I have now lost any confidence, Mr. McLeod, that you are able to represent yourself in this matter without disrupting the court's business or making a mockery of the court proceedings. Therefore, as this case moves forward, I am revoking your right to represent yourself, and I'm appointing Mr. Wirgo to represent you as a lawyer.
Okay, let's just do Wirgo here.
If the office of assigned counsel determines that Mr. McLeod is not indigent or is only partially indigent, that office may petition this court under the applicable statute for contribution from Mr. McLeod for the cost of representation. So, Mr. Varga, you want us to set this for a hearing then?
I do.
All right,
I do plead not guilty.
all right, Mr. McLeod will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf as to the contempt. So we have to schedule this for a docket call on the underlying case, which is still pending, and on the contempt hearing. I'll schedule that for August 20th at 10 a.m. I also have to advise you, Mr. McLeod, that I canceled your jury trial date and gave that date to somebody else who was here. So your trial on August 8th and 9th will not occur. I will next see you on August 20th at 10 a.m. Anything as to release Mr. Varga?
Is the court want to entertain a bond on this matter, Your Honor? To my understanding, Mr. McLeod is a local resident and he has met, with the exception of the last court date that he tells me that he thought the case was resolved, although obviously it was not. He has appeared for most of his prior court dates. All. Okay. And he's employed locally, Your Honor. I think perhaps if the court would set a modest monetary bond, that would ensure future events.
Thanks, sure.
Mr. Juliet.
And I would ask that bond remain revoked. He is, what I'm told, rejecting the court's mailings of the notice to appear. I mean, I think that's just a blatant violation of the court rule. So he's made it clear he doesn't want to take this serious. I would ask that bond remain revoked.
All right, Mr. McLeod, is there something you wanted to tell me?
I wanted to speak on that, the mailing stuff. I do that with all my junk mail, and I'm really sorry if that happened to one of your letters.
Don't make it worse by lying to me right now, Mr. McLeod. You wrote clear things on that mailing that indicate sovereign citizen types of defenses that you thought you were asserting. It's not that this was junk mail. Don't make it worse. Don't make it worse by lying.
I apologize to you for maybe listening to some of the wrong information when I don't.
Well, you're a grown person, Mr. McLeod, and I hope you're learning an important lesson in civics.
Can I just say this?
You said what you wanted to say.
Before you
Mr.
make your decision, can I say this? I have a job right now that's completely exposed to the weather. I've got $40,000 worth of windows coming this week to this job. I really invested in this job, and my client really relying on me. This would be a really big problem if I get this revoked at this stage.
All right, well, Mr. McLeod, it's a shame you had to learn a civics lesson the hard way here. You are a citizen with rights and freedoms, but you also have responsibilities in a society where other citizens live alongside you. That includes obeying the laws that the people pass through their representatives. For example, the people are entitled to pass a law that says they don't want folks operating boats under the influence of alcohol. You think that law doesn't apply? It does.
That wasn't.
And when a law enforcement officer sees you violating that law, you can't resist arrest without consequence. When you are alleged to violate those laws, Mr. McLeod, there's a third branch of government that does exist. And it exists for the orderly resolution of those disputes, those allegations, with full protection of your rights, as opposed to some kind of vigilante justice system. You may not agree with this, but this court has diligently tried to protect your rights and afforded you a respectful and lawful process. You have disrupted and ignored that process. You have disrespected that process time and again. That subjects you now to contempt of court and revocation of bond. Most people, Mr. McLeod, learn this lesson the easy way, but it seems that you now have to learn it the hard way. You're remanded into custody of the incoming sheriff and will next see you, sir, with your lawyer, Mr. Wordell, on August 20th at 10 a.m.
So, can I
We're in recess.
So, and
See what's next, right? I don't have one of the dogs with me now, but I'm not going to hang around because we got this happening.
Andrew. Hey.
Adrian Usconga, USCANGA.
Okay.
Page 30.
Come up, Mr. Usconga.
We're probably going to resolve both cases today, Judge. We just need time to talk to him.
So let me get this right. You're on a diversion program and you've now picked up a new case. Am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the one thing we asked you not to do, Mr. Usconga?
Got trouble.
Right. And did you do that? We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You're now charged with another misdemeanor, evading arrest. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. Please.
On June 30th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a club where a man and woman were denied entry because they were too intoxicated.
A club. A club.
I was going with the group.
Stop.
Don't say anything, just wait until it's-
I don't care if you're with the Pope, Mr. Usconga.
And the man and woman got into an argument. The female fell on the ground multiple times and eventually bit and kicked a police officer. While all this was happening, the defendant kept interacting with her, causing her to be more agitated. Officers asked the defendant multiple times to get back, but he kept encroaching. Due to him being uncooperative, uniformed officers attempted to detain him, and he fled on foot approximately 100 feet before being detained.
He actually came back of his own accord, Judge. They yelled at him and he turned around and came back. That's what he did, run off at first. And I'm representing the co-defendant, so I kind of have an idea what happened there.
Mr. Usconga, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case on the evading arrest case. Guess what's happening to the first case? Stephen. Mr. Usconga. It goes with you.
So I have to.
If you want to talk, we can talk. Okay, whatever you want, and I don't know if that's something that they're gonna wanna do. What, if they're gonna wanna keep him on?
No, they've already told him to get off.
Is he off? Okay, so, okay, I'm gonna do it today?
Yeah.
Okay, just let me know.
Judge, the co-defendant is not with us because she picked up a assault with these officers.
Is that the one that did the biting?
Yeah, she's in felony court.
Yeah.
But there's no evading, that's just an assault of a PO?
Yeah, that's just assault with these officers. So there's no transfer orders needed for us.
Judge, the next Spanish arraignment, page 19, Perez. Come on up.
When did you get this back from me? Okay,
Page 19, Perez.
got it.
Please, sir.
Stephen. Ronaldo Perez.
Yes.
What have you done now? You've picked up another case. You were on bond for theft. You've now picked up a Class A driving with a false ID or a false license. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. And this is your second fraudulent identity case. So we're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you, sir. You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you, sir.
On July 5th, 2024, officers conducted surveillance on the defendant who had a felony warrant for fraud use of identifying information. Officers contacted him to inform him that another officer would meet with him regarding an unrelated incident. Plainclothes officers observed the defendant waiting in the parking lot. Uniformed officers met him and asked him for his identifying information, and he presented a Dominican passport with his name, date of birth, and photo. Officers detained him and searched him, and an inventory search turned up a wallet, keys, 2 phones, and a Texas driver's license with the name Aurelio Valdez, date of birth 7/20/1993, and a credit card that did not belong to him. The credit card had a common name and the bank was closed down. The driver's license had no watermarks, blurred font / photo, and no holographic images, no mini photo, no ghost image of the Lone Star state symbol, and the defendant had his own photo on the card. Defendant said that he uses the ID for work.
Mr. Perez, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. And now I'm going to revoke your bond on your first case, and you will be staying with us. Goes with you. Did they give him a PR bond on this case? You know?
Yes, Judge.
Yeah. Ixnay on the PR bond A.
Judge, also Marcos is on his first.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Marcos now.
Ready for the next Spanish one?
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
We're in the court for a plea.
Jail.
Sad.
What gives you the right to endanger my public? Why are you laughing?
Está riendo.
No, no está triste, aquí todo triste.
No, it's sad, it's all sad.
Aquí todo triste, no igual a estar en la casa.
It's not the same as doing it home.
Every day in Harris County, someone dies from a DWI, Mr. Asik Chen. Every day, someone dies from a DWI. And here you are with 2 open DWIs. What on earth gives you the right to endanger my people? All you have to do is stay home.
Quedarse en casa.
And if you'd stay home,
Se queda en casa. No estaría acá.
if you must get out,
Debe de salir.
take a freaking Uber or walk. Now you will learn the hard way because you will be deported. In life, when you do things the right way, you are rewarded. For you, that means wherever you get deported to, if you want to come back to the United States, ask for permission first. Because if you come back without permission and you are caught, you will be facing 5 years in minimum in a federal prison. And if you thought this was bad, wait till you get to federal prison. Because I'm going to tell you, with both of your DWIs that you have now, if a police officer catches you, they will be chomping at the bit for you. All we want are our streets to be safe. I'm not asking for much. You've worked out an agreement now where they're going to dismiss one of the DWIs and you are pleading to the other one. Understand from now on, if you are ever in a car and you get stopped, the first thing an officer will do is they will look up your criminal history. They will look to see that you have at least 2 DWIs on your record. Do you think that they're going to be nice to you?
Usa palabras.
No.
No.
Right. They will never be nice to you from now on. And that's because of your criminal history. I would never, even if you've had a sip of alcohol, don't get into a car and drive because you will be right back over here. From now on, you'll be facing a minimum of 90 days in jail. And every time you go to jail, you will get an ICE detainer. Don't get into a car. You give up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers, the right to be arraigned, charge representative of court. If you are not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization under federal law. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, this will go on your record. You can never take it off. Do you understand?
Yes.
How do you plead to the offense of driving while intoxicated? Guilty or not guilty? Is it true or untrue that you had a 0.15 or above, Mr. Asik Chen? Okay.
Ellos sabían.
Diciendo. Yes.
Which one are we going on? The first one or the second? Or what's the last 3?
240.
All right. And then the other one will be dismissed. Okay. How do you plead to the offense, Mr. Asik Chen? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
I will find you guilty. I will sentence you to 3 days in jail. I will give you credit for one, although you have many more days, he's got many more, I don't, but I'm going to suspend your license for 2 years. I'm sorry, for a year. Do not drive until you get a license. Ask for permission before you come back to this country. Otherwise, you can be doing many years in federal prison. Good luck. Thanks, Ruben. Thanks, Ruben. Ready? Okay, Mr. Stewart, come on up. All right, so I got a bond violation report that says here, you entered the exclusion zone on 7/8 at 9:08 a.m. You left at 9:13, entered again at 3:57 a.m. There was a curfew in this case, was there not?
Yes, and if you would, Judge, if you're anything like me, you have a tank of goodwill that can run empty. And you've given us more than we deserve in this case. Hurricane Beryl, this was the height of when Hurricane Beryl was coming through the neighborhood.
Who in their right mind is supposed to be out in a hurricane at 4 a.m?
His power had gone out. He learned that his sister had a generator. And so that's where he was, that's the address. It's his sister's home where there was a generator that could provide some cool air. And that's what was happening in this case. But there's no excuse. He understands what his bond conditions was.
Let me ask you this, was he allowed to be at the house that he went to?
Not according to his bond.
I had nowhere to go. It's hot.
So what? Everybody else in Houston still doesn't have power. 1 million people still don't have power. Still, to this very moment. And they're dealing with it.
Did you contact pretrial services to let them know where you were going?
Yes.
When did you do that?
Yesterday.
Okay, but you didn't do it
Days
before you went.
I called them. They wasn't answering the phone. I got pictures.
I don't care about calling Jesus. It don't matter who you're calling and what's your excuse. You have bond conditions. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. This is not the third time that you've had bond violations. How many is this?
This is the sixth time I've been here in the past 45 days.
Am I supposed to let you go after 6 times? Mr. Stewart?
To be fair, the first time was my first appearance, so that was just a regular court thing.
You know, we all have to deal with very stressful situations. We are all under, we all deal with the stress, and really 1 million people still, or I gotta imagine it's hopefully less now, but
you don't have lights.
So many other people don't.
Sure.
But that doesn't give you the right to go where you're not supposed to go. And not only have I ordered you not to be out in the middle of the night, but the police and everybody else told you, stay at home. Don't go out in a hurricane. And yet you go out. It's not goodwill. You know, I mean, Mr. Mercer, now it becomes enabling. That's what it does. And it tells him that if I let him go, it's okay. It's not. He still thinks he can do whatever he wants to do.
I'm tired of coming in here and making excuses. What I've had to do is to remind myself.
Look, if you want to withdraw from that case, you can withdraw, and I'll appoint him a lawyer today. I'm not letting you go. It's not fair.
Oh, Judge, I got asthma allergies. I'm literally sweating bad. I couldn't even breathe in the house. Judge, I could not.
Stay.
No, I couldn't go nowhere else. I'm steady. I'm looking for a job. I can't find a job. It's hard. Everything is hard for me. Like literally everything is hard. You wanna like
I didn't have power either. I don't have air conditioning. I have a fish that I'm trying to save by sitting there bubbling water myself, trying to keep this fish alive.
I don't have
So we all have things that we deal with.
No, nothing. You wanna like I can't even charge. I barely can charge my ankle monitor. We have no power, like literally no power.
Go somewhere else. You don't go to the house that you're forbidden.
I don't have literally, I don't have nowhere else to go. I don't have family out here. I only have one person out here, one other person out here, other than my mom. Literally.
Judge, I'm not sure why the address was an exclusion zone. There's no victim in the case. It was an unlawful carry case. I don't know. If I would have caught that, I would have asked the judge to amend that order because it's his mother's and sister's house, and there was no reason to have that on the bond conditions. I don't understand why that was.
Tell me about it, because I don't remember. It's now been so many cases and so much that I don't even remember anymore.
On the first case, Judge,
I don't know, which case are we, because there's.
the weather case, so
Okay.
it's March 12, 2024. Officers were conducting a fugitive investigation for a wanted fugitive when they observed the defendant standing in front of an apartment in Harris County, Texas, with an AR pistol on his waistband. Rifle magazine was visible on the right side of his waist. Officers approached the defendant and instructed the defendant to come to them for their investigation. The defendant then turned and ran away 20 feet from outside to inside of his apartment and ran upstairs with the firearm still in his possession. Officers then surrounded the apartment and gave commands for the defendant to come outside, which he eventually complied with. Officers then obtained consent from the homeowner to search the apartment and located an upper receiver inside a dresser, the rifle magazine inside the dresser, and a lower receiver of the rifle in another dresser near the window. The upper receiver had a live 300 blackout round ejecting out of it.
That's the first case.
That's the first transaction. He picked up evading and unlawful carrying in a public place. The other two were evadings.
So
that's where the exclusion zone came from. I feel like I dropped the ball on that because I would have asked the court to amend that. It's his mother's and sister's home, and I didn't feel like that was necessary for him to have it.
Why did we do that in the first place, the exclusion over there? Do you know?
Judge, I don't believe it's something we requested because we didn't really rip anybody since there wasn't a victim in the case.
But your mother and your sister stayed in?
Yes, my sister stayed over there.
Huh.
What address is that one?
12650 Ashford Meadow Drive, Unit A.
Says he shall not go to or within 500 feet of the 12600 Ashford Meadow Drive.
I don't want to make a presumption, Your Honor, but I do feel like if I had approached the DA and asked them to amend that, I don't think they would have been opposed. That's something that I should have done.
And I'm with you.
And
Mr. Mercer, I'm with you, but he's still out at 4 a.m. You're still going out at 4 a.m.
I was leaving the place I was at because me and my mom were panicking so much. And I had to go to went to my sister's house. You can ask my mom, you can call my sister, you can literally ask both of them. They'll tell you. Literally. I was hiding. I have asthma and allergies. I can't breathe. I cannot breathe.
So bring him over here. I want to talk to him then.
I can call him on the phone, over the phone.
They've been texting with me. They said, please have the judge call us, so.
And she's even been calling. I promise she's even been calling here.
Bring him here. Let's talk to him Monday.
Okay.
Okay, Judge. Thank you.
Hold to Monday.
In the interim, if it's their actual address, Judge, we will be unopposed to it.
I'm not going to do anything yet. I want to talk to them. Bring him here Monday. Let's roll it to Monday, and I want to talk to mom and sister.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Be back here Monday.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
I know Roger was upset like crazy, but I mean, just fraudulent identity after fraudulent identity after, no,
He was
I'm
just
just,
doing his job, but I did tell him,
I'm-
Roger, don't throw yourself at the mercy of the court.
I can't have sympathy, but you know,
Hey, Judge,
really.
What's that over there on the wall? Nothing.
Oh. Okay, what about the gentleman in the box? Who's that?
That's, no starts with an R. What's the last name again?
What's your last?
Robertson. I don't think it's a violation. For Monday or
Are you Michael Robertson?
Yeah, Joseph covered himself, which he has in 30 years.
Come up, Mr. Robertson. Ms. Garza, you ready? We need to do the PC.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, so, Mr. Robertson, guys, keep it down, please. If you want to talk, go outside. Otherwise, we're trying to handle business. Mr. Robertson, you're charged with criminal trespass. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during any questions and interviews of the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you, sir.
On June 19th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a panic alarm at a 7-Eleven. The complaining witness advised that the defendant entered the business and stared at her before leaving. The complaining witness officers to be at the location, and upon contact with the defendant told officers he remembered being told not to return on May 24th, 2024.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to go back to this location.
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
Look, you can pray all you want. It's your actions that dictate what happens. You now have 2 open felony cases. You think they're going to be happy that you picked up this new case?
Sure.
Right. They're probably, if my guess, at some point when judge gets wind of this, they're going to file a motion to revoke your bond and raise it up. So be on the lookout.
Sure.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a clothing line, and I work with my Ruby movie company, with furniture.
So how much money do you make a month doing that?
It depends on where I move. About 1,500 a month. Maybe like 1,000, maybe 1,000.
A lawyer, sir.
Sir?
Can you afford a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Oh, no, sir, sir. I can't afford a lawyer. Oh, I can't afford a lawyer. I can't. I need a representative, yeah.
No. What happened with the assault of a peace officer, the retaliation?
Judge, what do you have in that case?
Say that again?
7-Eleven gas station.
Another 7-Eleven.
Yeah, complainant stated she observed defendant was criminally trespassed on May 10th, told defendant to leave. Defendant then told the complainant that she was a snitch and was going to get a big bro to come whoop complainant's ass. Because she keeps calling the police on him, causing the complainant to be in fear of her life. Defendant stated he remembered officers telling him not to return to the gas station and that he returned to warn the complainant that no one likes her and that unknown people want to beat her ass. Officer detained the defendant. Defendant kicked Officer Becerra, causing pain, spit on the officer, and told the officer, "I'm going to beat your ass."
Mr. Robertson, you've shown me continually that you can't stop going to the 7-Eleven. I'm now going to stop.
I'm not crazy, sir. I swear. My mom's right there. I'm not crazy, sir. I could go. I swear to God.
Are you mom? Come on up, mom.
I swear to God, I got common sense. I swear to God, I'm not stupid, sir. I would never go to 7-Eleven.
Listen, your words tell guys, keep it down, please. You tell me you're not crazy. You tell me you're not going to do this, but over and over, you keep going to the 7-Eleven. So how is it, Mom, how can we get him to stop going to that 7-Eleven? Because every time he goes there, he picks up a new case.
He is not going back. The young lady that he was talking to was a friend of one of his best friend's daughters. He was telling her, got it.
My
But,
only concern is you are not to go back. You have shown me that you will defy court order after court order. So I'm going to put an ankle monitor on you now so that I know if you go over there. And I'm going to tell you, you go over there, I'm going to make your bond so high, you're going to flip. Who's posting all the bonds? You? Do you realize that every time they revoke the bond, you are on the hook? That bond that he paid was $12,000 upstairs. If they revoke that bond, you're going to be on the hook for the $10,000. Be very careful. I'm telling you now, you violate this condition now that I see that you're going to do it, I'm going to put your bond 10 times that amount because I'm going to do everything in my power to protect every person of Harris County. I don't care where they're working. I don't care what they're doing. They work in a city dump. I'm going to protect them. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And if that means making your bond at $100,000 on a criminal trespass, I'll do it in a heartbeat. You understand, Mr. Robertson?
Your would also ask for your contact with the complaining witness herself. She is afraid that it will escalate.
Will you please reach out to her today or him? Because I don't know who it is. Let them know that he has an ankle monitor. Please let them know that I've made it a condition and that if she sees him even within 200 feet of the location, he knows what's going to happen. You now know not to go within 200 feet of this 7-Eleven. There is a diameter of 200 feet that you're not to go near it. And the ankle monitor that I'm putting on today will tell me if you go near it. You must charge this ankle monitor every day. If this thing, listen, I know you have questions, but I want you to listen because you're thinking about what to say. And when you think, you're not listening. I want you to listen because if you don't, whose popka is going to be in the pokey? Not Mom's, not 7-Eleven. You, Mr. Robertson. You must charge this thing on a daily basis. If the battery dies, so do you. Do you understand?
Yes,
what's your question?
It's about the power right now. I said about my house got broke. It's trees fell over. We still have no power.
Can you come here to Harris County and you can charge it where we send you to go get it done? But there is no excuse. There is no excuse. And there's no excuse for you to go to 7-Eleven. Do you understand?
Sure.
I don't want to have to put you in jail, but you have now darn terrorized these people. And let me ask you, is it fair for someone to have to live in fear?
Sure.
It's not. It's not fair. All I want is for this person to be able to work and not be afraid. Oh my God, is he coming today? Jeez, I hope he's not coming today. That's what they probably live like. And you may think it's a joke, but it's not.
Your Honor, Tracy said they're unable to put the GPS.
When can we put it on?
Hopefully Monday.
Okay, then you got to be back here Monday to put it on.
Sure.
They now know because they're going to reach out to this person at 7-Eleven today so that they know if you go back over there, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what you have in your mind. If you go anywhere near this place, you know what's going to happen. There is no excuse. And I'm telling you, Mom, you know, it's nice that you're posting money for your son to get out. But the problem is that every time he picks up a new case, you're on the hook for all that money. And now that he's picked up this case here, it's very possible the felony court revokes both of his bonds upstairs. So be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. If you ever need anything from me, and I'm happy to help you. As it stands now, he is not allowed to consume alcohol or any kind of illegal drugs. If you find that he does, call me, let me know, and I will straighten him out for you. Does he live with you now?
No, he has his own place.
Okay. You have any problems with him, let me know, and I'll straighten him out for you, okay? Tracy, no drugs. Needs to come back Monday to be able to get the monitor. And then if you can please reach out to the MAC so we can appoint him a lawyer. Do you have any more questions, Mr. Robinson?
No, Mr. Robinson.
Don't. It's on you. It's not on her. It's not on Jesus. It's not on Allah. It's on you, Mr. Robinson. Find something else to do. Do you work?
Sir?
Does he really work?
He does this.
What is this? What does this mean?
I got my clothes. I got it from Home Alone.
He makes t-shirts.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Does this keep you fully
Yeah,
occupied?
it do, because I gotta come up with new ideas. It does keep me, it does.
When you have too much time on your hands, you become self-destructive, Mr. Robinson. So you need to find something to occupy your time. I don't know if this is a legitimate and true business, but look at your criminal history. If you have too much time on your hands, you become self-destructive, and you need to find something to occupy your time so you don't find yourself in the pokey again. Really. You can lie to me about the clothing business, but you can't lie to yourself. Right? All right. Good luck, sir. For now, I'm gonna have you sign a reset. After that, I'm gonna have to take you seat in the jury box while I find you a lawyer, sir.
Judge Carl's approaching on Yonker.
Hey, Judge.
Hey.
Didn't realize she was here.
Very nice.
Come up, Miss Yonker.
She's in
I have her
custody.
in custody, Your Honor. She's
Oh.
in custody.
She's in custody for felony VPO.
Bring her out.
That's the one you were texting me about yesterday. I told you she's in jail.
Yeah, same thing. How's jail? Ms. Yonker, you had an assault family member with us. You've now picked up the violation of a protective order. And they filed it as a felony. You're looking at 2 to 10 in the penitentiary. I don't know what happened. I'd like to know. That's why I brought you out, because you're still on bond in our case, and I want to know whether that should be yanked or not. I don't know what happened, but can you please?
HPD was dispatched just before 1 a.m. on July 4th to the Belfort condos in Harris County, Texas. The complaining witness is the defendant's former boyfriend. The complaining witness has a protective order prohibiting the defendant from having harassing or threatening contact with him and prohibiting her from being within 200 feet of the defendant's residence at Belfort. The complaining witness states that the defendant showed up at his home and began kicking and banging on his door for approximately 3 minutes. When officers made contact with the defendant, she stated she had come to pick up her belongings. This is the second violation, and the defendant had previously returned to the complaining witness residence on July 2nd.
So they caught her at the place? Do you know or no? You know, at some point, Ms. Yonker, you're gonna get it. You can't just continue to do what you're doing. That's why we have, you know, it's not fun. It's not. But I'm now gonna revoke your bond in our case as well. And I'm gonna raise it up to 5,001.
Can I talk?
First, I would have you talk to Carl to see whether that's something that you should, because I don't want you to say something. I've got a bunch of DAs here, Ms. Yonker, and I don't want you to say something that's going to further, you know, hurt your case as it is.
Your Honor, if I may.
Of course.
Ms. Yonker, I visited with her when I was assigned to her case. I told her And she understood not to go over there to her residence, to his residence without escort by police authority to get her property back. However, she did text me and call me a couple of days thereafter, telling me that Mr. Stone, who's the complaining witness, had thrown her property or belongings in the Dempsey dumpster nearby, and that she couldn't come and get it. And she apparently did go by there to try to get her property back on the July 2nd date, which is about the same time period that we're talking about. She received a text or phone call from a third party to go by there to get her belongings. And that's when
I told you, no one can authorize you to violate this.
He can't, and the only.
And what is so important? What piece of property is so important that you're willing to risk going to jail and up to 10 years? Do you have some kind of disco ball that's made of gold? What's so important?
Nothing is, but I was under the impression that the cops were there and he
You
said.
mean that poof and magic, the cops are just going to show up? You know what they say about assumptions, Ms. Yonker? Unless you call them and make an arrangement for them to meet you there, they're not going to magically appear like.
4 hours for them to come to me, and I almost ended up in jail. Like, I need all the cop cams of everything pulled. I don't know why the ending of the report doesn't tell you what really happened when I pulled up to the thing with him, because he called me and told me that I
You're
could
not
come
even
get my
supposed to have
stuff.
contact with him.
Yes, sir.
I told you, if he calls you, hang up. If he texts you, do not reply. We tell you these things to put you on notice of what you can and can't do.
Yes, sir.
At the very minimum, you could have called a friend and had them go get the stuff for you if it's that important to you. And now, do you have anyone that's going to post the money for you?
Honor, she's got a $30,000 bond in the felony court, so I don't anticipate, I've been in contact with several people, but nobody's been forthcoming and posting a $30,000 bond.
I was out on bond, and he hired my bond yesterday because I didn't know whenever.
Isn't she from you're from another state as well, right? You
No, she's
moved
from-
down here because of him.
Jefferson County is kind of another state almost, but not quite.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, aren't you not from another state? Or
She's from Beaumont.
But I talked in court when nobody was talking, so he raised my bond. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to talk because I was asking a question, because at the end of the report it doesn't say everything that really happened, because I was not caught on the
It
property.
doesn't matter. That's the thing. You cannot justify violating a court order. You either do or you don't.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So I'm going to revoke it, sitting at 5,001. If you're able to make the bond upstairs, or if they reduce it or something like that, come back, talk to me. But I'm issuing a protective order now, right now. And I want you to understand, if you violate this, or if you violate this now, they will hold you at zero bond, no bond. So I would be very, very careful. No means no, Ms. Yonker.
I understand.
I hope you get it now.
I didn't with the felony charge.
Yeah, if you're gonna revoke it, you raise it only to 1,000 as opposed to 5,000, because she already has a $30,000 bond.
I'll do 2501.
Thank you, Judge.
And then you let me know if she's.
We need some relief there after she's able to get some relief in the felony court. Thank you, Your Honor.
Look, Ms. Yonker.
She has to find something.
Trinidad, you're still here. Why? Oh, okay. Who'd you got? Oh, Mr. Robertson?
You got an
Reset it.
ankle monitor or what?
Yeah, I put an ankle monitor, told them not go within 200 feet of this lady that's been terrorizing at the 7-Eleven. Just stay away, no weapons. For sure. Whatever you want, baby. Okay, Mr. Ungas.
Step all the way up.
going on the DWI and the evading is dismissed?
Yes, the evading is dismissed, time served on the DWI. I had a couple of requests, whenever you're ready. The traffic fine, we were gonna ask to waive the traffic fine. He makes roughly $2,000 a month, $1,400 in rent, groceries and other bills that he pays. That would be an extreme hardship if he had to pay that traffic fine. So we'd ask the court to waive it.
Hey, Victoria, how did Mr. Uskonga do DWI PTI? Andrew, as much as I love you, it's really not fair to reward him if he didn't do anything. It will depend on how well he did the PTI, other than picking up this new case. If he did relatively well, then I'll go with you. But if he did absolutely nothing,
He did everything. Actually, it's a shame.
what say you, Tori?
It's loading right now.
Okay. And what are we looking at as far as time? Okay. You know, Mr. Uskonga, one day, may not be today, may not be tomorrow, may not be 2 years, but you're gonna come back at some point, maybe 10 years, 20 years. Why was I such an idiot for not getting this thing done? You had a dismissal on this DWI in your hands. It's not a mistake. So don't try to justify it as a mistake. It's a choice. Not a good one at that, because you didn't have to go to a bar, don't have to be out at 1 in the middle, 1 in the morning. So it's not a mistake. It's a choice that you made. And this choice now will haunt you for the rest of your life. You're going to see it because the DWI is going to go on your record and it will haunt you for the rest of your life. And the hope is that you do remember this, because you now, when you ever get pulled over, when you ever have any kind of contact with an officer, wherever you are, they're going to see these charges. They're going to harass the heck out of you. I don't care what you're doing, where you're going, who you're with. That's what's going to happen. So be very careful what you're doing. The DWI will go on your record from now on. You will be facing a minimum of 30 days in jail for any charges that you pick up. And what we're doing today, this time served on this DWI, it won't happen again. Do you understand? If you're not smart enough to consider how to get home on a night of drinking and you do the boneheaded move of getting into a car after you've had some alcohol, I will put you over my knee and I will spank you with a ton of jail time, just like a little child, because you haven't learned like a little child.
He was doing relatively well on the PTI. He completed the victim impact panel, the DWI education course, and SOP. However, he did test positive for THC, and that's why they wanted him to do IOP. And he extended.
Okay. Did you have any other requests?
He did everything. Well, he finished the SOP and IOP. So all he had to do was wait less than a month and it would have been dismissed. He didn't have anything left to do.
Did you do the IOP?
I did. I have a certificate, a picture of the certificate and everything.
Okay. Did you have any other requests or is that it?
The license suspension, I know you're going to suspend it for 9 days. We'd have,
No, I'm going to suspend it for 180 days.
can we postpone the suspension for 30 days to give him a chance to get an occupational?
No, we do it today. It gets suspended today.
Can we come back to you for an occupation? Will you grant
Of
one?
course, you can always come back.
It's not, it's a non-alcohol DWI, actually, what they've been drinking.
What is it?
He took a pill and it with fentanyl and it almost killed him. It took him to the hospital and gave him Narcan.
No kidding. I mean, really, be careful what you put in your system. How many people die every day because they take something and they don't know it's fentanyl in it? It's crazy, the stuff that's in our streets nowadays. You can't have fun like it used to be 10, 15 years ago, you know, liable to kill yourself with just, I mean, really, all it takes is just a little bit, the head of a, what is it? The head of a dime is what they say. That's enough to kill you. It's freaking nuts. And you're lucky you're not dead. Be careful what you put in your body, Mr. Uskonga.
That's wrong. I've been sober. I've been sober ever since all that. I haven't touched any hard stuff.
Just remember it. All right. So as part of the agreement, they're going to dismiss the new case. You're pleading to the DWI. You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers if you're not a citizen, There are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. Once you accept this agreement, it will go on your record. You can never change this or undo this. Is this what you want to do?
Sure.
How do you plead to the offense, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
I will find you guilty. We'll send it to you the agreement. I will roll your court costs so you won't know anything. This is a big one because now I'm wiping away about $3,500 worth of fines and fees that you'd otherwise be forced to pay. And if you didn't pay, you'd never get a license. So I will acquiesce to you. About a occupational license, I want to see that he's doing well and then, come back and we can talk.
Are you gonna require an interlock device occupational? Because he has one on there now. I don't want to take it off and put it back on.
Yes, absolutely. We have to. We have, not only that, he has to do some kind of treatment as part of now occupational licenses. So he's now required to also do some kind of treatment plan as well. So the rules have really changed. So, all right, Mr. Escanga, best of luck to you, man. Be careful.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Hey, how can I add a picture so that I can show people the fish? No, that's ghetto. I was gonna put a picture in the chat, but I can't.
all my ideas ghetto?
Oh, shush. Don't get sensitive, man.
Let's say find a kid.
How do I put a picture in there?
For the live chat?
For the live chat, you can't put a picture?
No. You can in Discord. You're in the Catholic Discord. Post it in the Catholic Discord.
I guess so. I'll try to show. I have a really cool fish, and so I want to show them.
And I'll put it in there.
I don't know if you can see. That's the fish.
Oh my God, Judge,
right
that is
there.
so ghetto.
Is that ghetto or what?
Yes.
That's my fish. Anyways, who's ghetto?
You.
Shish.
That's it. That's all we got. And that's all I've got for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, from me and Bella and Blue and Herschel and all the people at the court gallery and all the animals in the court gallery, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week, Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And look for all the videos I'll be publishing during the week coming up. We'll see all you guys next time. I think the dog wants down. Here you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. Colin's coming up next. As I close, Colin opens. Thank you everybody for showing up today. It's been fun. It's been a great set of court cases. I love doing this every single week. I hope all the rest of you enjoy coming by and sharing this time with me and sharing our time in the court gallery together. Chat's been great. Y'all are awesome as always. We'll be seeing you in chat later.
Like everything